We held an extended cabinet meeting late last month to take stock of progress made since the adoption of government's program of action, the medium-term strategic framework, which is based on the National Development Plan. I'm pleased to provide an update on the work done thus far in implementing the first year of the MTSF based on the program outlined in the State of the Nation Address in February. The South African economy, as with many economies in the world, continues to struggle to fully regain its pre-financial crisis growth momentum. We committed ourselves to a 5% growth rate by 2019. The 1.5% economic growth rate attained in 2014 is a distance from the NDP ambition. However, despite the slow growth globally, economic growth is expected to increase steadily to at least 3% over the next 3 years, because we expect the electricity constraint, which is our major obstacle, to ease. Our estimate is that electricity shortages are currently costing the economy close to 1 percentage point in economic growth. We have decided to look inward for growth opportunities. Hence, the development of the 9-point plan that we announced in February. The components of the plan are the following. 1, revitalization of the agriculture and agro-processing value chain. 2, advancing beneficiation, that is adding value to our mineral wealth. 3, more effective implementation of a higher impact industrial policy action plan. 4, unlocking the potential of SMME cooperatives as well as township and rural entrepreneurs. 5, resolving the energy challenge. 6, stabilizing the labor market by scaling up private sector investment, growing the oceans economy, as well as cross-cutting areas to reform, boost, and diversify the economy, such as the following: science and technology and innovation, water and sanitation, transport, infrastructure, and state-owned companies. What government has achieved so far through the implementation of previous annual versions of IPEP shows that the policy is working. Government support has taken the automotive sector from the production of 356,800 units in the year 2000 to over 565,000 units in 2014. This support has grown auto exports from 11,000 units in 1995 to over 270,000 units in 2014. As a result, 300,000 jobs have been created in the automotive sector. A few examples include 5 billion rand by Mercedes-Benz, 3 billion rand by Ford, 4 billion rand by Unilever in 4 plants over the past 4 years, and 228 million rand from Samsung. We have also experienced a strong turnaround in manufacturing exports. Auto exports amounted to 115 billion rand in 2014, which is 12.7% of total exports in the country. Government's intervention aimed at arresting the decline of the clothing, textile, leather, and footwear sector resulted in the retention of 68,000 jobs in the sector. By the end of March this year, a total of 3.7 billion rand in support of the private sector had been approved since the inception of the Clothing and Textile Competitive Program in 2010. Since 2009, government, through the Department of Trade and Industry, has also supported agro-processing industries to the value of 1.2 billion rand through various schemes. There is a need to further scale up industrial development in the country. In this regard, among interventions we have introduced the Black Industrialist Program, which is designed to transform the manufacturing sector and unlock the potential of black entrepreneurs. Initial funding of 1 billion rand has been secured from the DTI for the current financial year, and 23 billion rand from the Industrial Development Corporation for the next 3 financial years. With regards to infrastructure development, government and public agencies have invested just over 1 trillion rand in infrastructure between 2009 and 2014. The investments are in energy, road, rail, ports, public transport, bulk water and sanitation, hospitals, basic and higher education infrastructure, and innovative projects such as the Square Kilometre Array and Meerkat. To date, 41,351 kilometers of fiber optic cables have been rolled out to provide the broadband capability for the economy from 2009. South Africa continues to be confronted by the challenge of electricity supply. Since the inception of the 5-point plan in December 2014, substantial progress has been made in resolving the energy challenge. The operations and maintenance practices at Eskom continue to improve to ensure that the power plants are appropriately maintained and provide electricity within their capacity. Eskom has signed short-term power purchase agreements that bring additional supply of electricity to cater for the shortfall due to maintenance and to match demand during peak periods. A further 800 megawatts will be added to the grid through cogeneration. A saving of 450 megawatts have been realized through the energy efficiency programs. This is a result of South Africans working together in order to alleviate the impact of the electricity challenge. Over and above alleviating the impact of the energy challenge, energy efficiency programs result in saving in energy costs and a reduction in emissions. Various projects of the Renewable Energy Independent Power Producer Program currently supply 1,800 megawatts to the grid. Within the next 2.5 years, the 92 projects of the Renewable Energy Program will bring to a total of 6,327 megawatts to the grid. The exploration of various other options for electricity generation is underway, including cross-border projects within the SADC region that include hydro, gas, and coal. For the medium to long-term electricity supply, the nuclear build program is at an advanced stage of planning, and the procurement should be concluded within the current financial year. The updated gas utilization master plan will be published, which will stimulate development and investment in the gas industry. We'll continue to pursue work towards a reliable energy mix to ensure energy security for now and the future. In March 2015, Cabinet approved the final amendments to the Broadcasting Digital Migration Policy, which unlocked the project to enable implementation. Cabinet further approved that government provide free set-top box to the 5 million poor TV owning households. the country did not meet the 17 June 2015 analog switch-off date as set by the International Telecommunications Union. However, a lot of work has gone into the process leading to the imminent analog switch-off. To date, the Minister of Communications has concluded and signed bilateral agreements and engagements with our neighboring countries, namely SONA, Namibia, Mozambique, Lesotho, and Swaziland, in order to minimize cross-border radio frequency spectrum interference. Ladies and gentlemen, among critical points discussed at the meeting of the Presidential Business Working Group on the 7th of August is the need to improve regulatory efficiency and turnaround times to support investments. In this regard, the rollout of the Special Economic Zones program will continue. More importantly, the establishment of an investment facilitation center or one-stop shop is being implemented to support local and international investments. A pilot has been set up at the DTI. The center will improve the investment climate and enhance the ease of doing business by identifying bottlenecks, remove administrative barriers, reduce regulatory inefficiencies, set up norms and standards, improve turnaround times, coordinate and fast-track all investment requirements. We have also noted with concern the complaints about the new visa regulations. I would like to announce the establishment of the Interministerial Committee on Immigration Regulations. The IMC will address the unintended consequences of the new immigration regulations on various sectors, including tourism and investment. The IMC is chaired by the Deputy President Ramaphosa and comprises the Ministers of Tourism, Home Affairs, Trade and Industry, Social Development, and Small Business Development. We identified small business as big business in the SONA. The priority interventions to unlock the potential of SMMEs, cooperatives, and township and rural entrepreneurs are continuing. These include working towards the implementation of the 30% set-aside policy to support SMMEs and cooperatives. The SMMEs will be supported with increased access to markets and finance. On the cards is also a concerted effort to reduce the red tape for SMMEs, which will include a review of existing small business legislation. A special unit has been established in the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation to investigate cases where there is late or non-payment of suppliers, despite the submission of a legitimate invoice within 30 days. We had also identified the need to normalize labor relations as being critical in the State of the Nation address. Deputy President Ramaphosa leads the interface between business and labor in this regard. Consensus on a working definition of a national minimum wage has been reached at NEDLAC. On agriculture, much progress has been made in the development of agri-parks, with 43 of the 44 sites having been identified. One agri-park is ready to be launched in Northwest. We also continue to implement other key initiatives of the Agriculture Policy Action Plan to support growth and employment in agriculture and agro-processing. The plan includes increasing support for existing smallholder farmers and exploring ways to substantially expand the number of agricultural products. Ladies and gentlemen, government has identified water as a critical resource for economic development, and work continues to implement the 5-point plan for water and sanitation. The plan entails the following: maintain and upgrade existing water and sanitation infrastructure, build new dams and develop groundwater, improve water quality, develop smart technologies for water and sanitation, information, management, and ensure an enhanced and integrated regulatory regime, for an example, water use licensing. A review of both the Water Services and the National Water Acts will be undertaken. In the State of the Nation address, I announced that we would intervene to stop the leaking of water, which costs the country 7 billion rand a year. I announced that government, through the Department of Water and Sanitation, would train 15,000 artisans and plumbers who will fix leaking taps in their communities. This program will be officially launched in Port Elizabeth on the 28th of August. The first intake of 3,000 is being recruited for the current financial year. On basic education, the 2014 annual national assessments results indicated that grade 3 targets in both literacy and numeracy have been exceeded. including grade 6 home language. We welcome these positive developments and thank parents for cooperation, which enables us to register progress as government. However, performance in grade 6 and 9 maths and first additional language is still below par. The implementation of the maths, science, and technology strategy will be strengthened in all schools. In addition, government will ensure improved teacher supply training and development. The improvement of the qualifications of grade R practitioners is also ongoing as part of the long-term investments in quality education. On the health front, South Africa has been praised by the United Nations AIDS program for its successful response to HIV and AIDS. Among the achievements, access to antiretroviral treatment for people living with HIV and AIDS was expanded. To date, 3.1 million people are receiving treatment. This has exceeded the 2014 and 2015 target of 3 million. The screening for tuberculosis has been expanded with 15.2 million people reached, which exceeded the target of 6 million people. We thank all South Africans for their cooperation, which is enabling the country to achieve a turnaround on HIV and AIDS and to improve our response to TB. But we should not be complacent. The struggle against HIV and AIDS continues, including the fight against the stigma attached to the disease, so that those living with the virus can live productive lives without being ostracized. Ladies and gentlemen, Cabinet adopted the National Youth Policy in May this year. The Presidential Youth Working Group has been established, comprising youth formations and government led by the Deputy Minister for Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The working group helps to coordinate the implementation of the youth policy. The programs being implemented include the following: youth entrepreneurship and cooperatives training and mentorship, reform and review of the National Students Financial Aid Scheme to increase enrollments in universities and vocational training colleges, implementing youth employment programs such as the installation of solar water geyser and set top boxes, implementation of public employment program, and fostering values for the formation of an ideal citizen. Mining remains a critical component of the economy, and we want it to remain the backbone of the South African economy. The threat of job losses in the mining and steel sectors is of serious concern to government, as it would have a negative impact on many families, communities, and the economy. To address the current job losses in the mining sector, the Minister of Mineral Resources convened a retreat of tripartite stakeholders in the mining sector on the 5th August 2015, both business and labor. Stakeholders identified a number of areas to save jobs and to find alternatives to job losses. A task team was established and mandated to develop detailed proposals. The task team will report back to the principals this week. The Presidential Business Working Group last Friday mandated government and the Chamber of Mines to seek an amicable solution outside of the courts to the notion of once empowered, always empowered. We look forward to a positive outcome. The Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Amendment Bill was referred back to Parliament to address, amongst other things, consultation at the National Council of Provinces, which was considered to have not been adequate. We launched the first results delivery methodology operation Pakisa successfully in the health and ocean economy sectors last year. I will launch a mining Pakisa before the end of the year, which will look at minerals beneficiation. Meanwhile, the Department of Mineral Resources continues to issue orders to companies that do not comply with the law. The matter regarding the suspension of the license of Optimum Coal has been resolved. Following engagements with the company, the suspension was lifted and the company was directed to address issues relating to non-compliance. Ladies and gentlemen, we launched the Back to Basics program in September last year to revitalize local government. In the past year, municipalities have been supported in various areas to implement the program. An important point to note is that while municipalities have been directed to pay their debts, debt owed to municipalities is not given sufficient attention. We urge government entities and the private sector to pay their debts to enable municipalities to function effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, with regards to safety and security, the South African Police Service is responding effectively to shopping mall robberies. The various units of the SAPS, including crime intelligence, the tactical response team, visible policing, the Hawks, together with the business against crime, cellular phone shops, the South African Banking Risk Information Center, and private security companies have been successful in dealing with this problem. Police have found that the majority of the shopping malls were being targeted primarily to rob cellular phone shops. Cell phones and other electronic equipment that were stolen were taken out of the Republic. Several suspects, including so-called kingpins, have been arrested. The rate at which police are being attacked and killed calls for united action by both government and society at large. 55 police officers have been killed since January this year. I have requested the police minister to re-examine the police safety strategy to enable the police to respond effectively when attacked. An attack on police officers is an attack on both the authority of the state and on the nation. I appeal to the people of South Africa to play an active role to curb attacks by identifying those who kill police officers as they live within our communities. The people should also continue to provide information to the police about all who are involved in criminal activities so that we can build safer communities together. On the 6th of September, we will hold the annual service at the Union Buildings to commemorate all our fallen police officers. The implementation of the report on the tragic incidents that took place in Marikana, leading to the killing of more than 44 people, is receiving top priority. The response of the National Police Commissioner to the recommendations of the Commission about her fitness to hold office is receiving attention. I am also in discussion with the ministers whose portfolios are affected by the Marikana report, such as police, labor, mineral resources, as well as justice and correctional services. We will provide feedback in due course to the nation on progress being made in the implementation of the recommendations. All interventions are aimed at ensuring that such an incident never occurs again in our country. You'll recall as well that tragic incidents took place in April this year, the attacks on foreign nationals, especially African nationals. The Interministerial Committee on Migration remains seized with the matter of ensuring that we do everything possible to prevent a recurrence of the attacks. Measures being undertaken include legislative and regulatory reform, improved policing through Operation Fiela, and the promotion of peaceful coexistence and togetherness between citizens and nationals of other countries. The IMC on migration will meet with organizations representing foreign and African nationals soon to take forward the discussions I had with them in April. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, in our discussions in the Presidential Business Working Group last Friday, we agreed that in addition to the implementation of the 9-point plan, as a country, we need to be more proactive and awake to opportunities. For an example, faster growth in the African continent provides an opportunity for broader product and services markets. Growth in the sub-Saharan region is expected at 4.5% in 2015. As the region develops, it will require industrial supplies. In this regard, our industrialization policy is not misplaced, especially since SADC is also focusing intensively now on finalizing the industrial policy for the region. We will continue working within the African Union and SADC to participate in the establishment of the continental free trade areas and to boost the industrialization strategies of the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, we are making progress in many other areas and aspects of the government program of action. On Thursday, I will provide a progress report on the implementation of Operation Pakisa, which is part of the 9-point plan. The 9-point plan serves as a response to the challenge of limited growth of the South African economy. As a collective effort, the 9-point plan could potentially accelerate the growth of the economy by as much as 0.8% in the short term and 1% in the medium to long term, in addition to the projected growth of 2% in 2015. We thank all our stakeholders and sectors who work with us to ensure the success of the plan. I thank you.